Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for watching the Once an Orphan podcast. I'm Jasmine, and joining me today is Miss Jeannie. This is not an adoption story. Instead, this is a story of abuse, neglect, abandonment, um, in all forms, and something that started in her life at a very early age, and something that should never, ever happen to a child. But here we are speaking to a victim and a survivor. And excuse my voice, I am coming off of a cold, so I may sound a little masculine, but I'm still here. I'm still me. Um,
You don't sound masculine at all.
let's go ahead and get started. And first of all, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being open to share your story. Jeannie, Janiqua, you are the youngest of six children
Yes.
by five different men.
Yes.
No shade. And
It's not, no, I don't take none.
okay. I mean, even to mom, but it's, some
Right.
people, you know,
It's just the
but,
truth. Right.
right. Okay. And you suffered a great deal of abuse.
Hmm.
Now, I have to be careful with saying, I don't like to use the term essay because everything has to be censored. But
Hmm.
when I say essay, we know what we're referring to.
Right.
And this started very early in your life. Can you take me back to your first memory of how you were abused in such a,
Sexually.
yeah.
So before it was physical sexual abuse, I was exposed to my parents actually having sex directly in front of me. So I was about like 4 years old. And I just remember it was late at night. I was getting up for a snack. I used to sleep in the bed with my parents. They were not in the room, they were in the living room. And you have to pass through the living room to get to the kitchen. I walked into the living room, I can remember as clear as day, and they were just on the couch having sex. They looked at me, they stopped for a quick second, looked at me, and then just continued going. And I believe that is a form of sexual abuse. I'm a child and I remember it at 27 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And so, but the physical sexual abuse, I remember having a stuffed animal. I was about 5, and I remember my brother telling me to get underneath the bed with him. And I got underneath the bed, and it kind of goes blurry then. But then after I get from underneath the bed, he gets on top of the bed, and then I get in the bed with him, and I still had my stuffed animal with me. And I remember getting out of the bed, and I having on indie underwear, and there were stains on my stuffed animal. I was 5, and so fast forward to about when I was 8, 9, and 10, I would wake up to my brother standing over me while I was in the bed. I would wake up to him in my bed. I would wake up to him touching me and groping me in my bed and running out of the room. Sometimes he would get, like I would be sleeping on my stomach and he would get on top of me, but while I'm face down and do whatever he wanted to do and then leave. And sometimes when my stepbrother would come over, he would tell my stepbrother to go in there. He would go do it to me first, then he would convince my stepbrother to do it, and then he would come after my stepbrother and do it again. And I did let my mother know, and to which she got extremely aggressive with me, and nothing ever happened. And so at that age, I kind of just blamed myself. I always told myself, if I didn't sleep in certain positions, maybe it wouldn't happen to me. I asked for it. I deserved it. Maybe I'm just being fast because my mom, she would always project on me too. My mom was a teenage mother, by the way. So my mother, I think she got pregnant at 14 and had her first child at 15, or she got pregnant at 15 and had her first child at 16. It's one of those two.
Mm.
And she will always call her daughters fast. I was never fast. I was scared of boys, honestly. I was scared of boys as a child, as a teenager. My first boyfriend, I was so scared to be affectionate with him, and my heart would just race when I would see him, and I would just act like I didn't see him in school. I was scared of boys. And so she would always call us fast and stuff. She was very, very strict on her daughters. We couldn't go anywhere but to our grandmother's house and to a cousin's house. That's it. And so I blame myself, and it was normalized. My older sister would tell me stuff that I didn't even remember. She said, "Yeah, um, bleep his name. I didn't watch him come in there and do stuff to you, and I didn't told mama, and mama didn't say nothing about it. So it was the norm."
And so you
Mhm.
weren't the only person aware. Your sister was aware, your mother was aware. Nothing was done.
Nah.
What's the age of your mother now?
She, her birthday actually just passed. So she got to be like, I think she probably just turned 50. She just turned, yeah, she just turned 50. It just hit. She just, because I know the year she was born. So yeah, she just turned 50 actually. Hmm.
And that's why I asked because I know at 47 I'm old enough to be your mother, and
Hmm.
so she wouldn't be far in age from me. So I was just curious when you think back to the stuff that happened to you as a child. Was there anyone there who made you feel safe that you felt were protected?
Hell no. No, absolutely not. I think that is where the anger come in at, because it's like not even a soul. Oh my God, that is a question that I never was asked. Mm-mm.
And
No,
just so that we're clear, part of the
no, there
reason.
is one person. I'm sorry, my great grandmother, my late great grandmother. She didn't play. My great grandmother. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, yes, that's the only person.
I'm always stuck when we have these conversations. And so part of the reason why you likely didn't feel safe is because one of the people who were harming you in this way, if I'm not mistaken, based on what you put on Instagram, was your biological father.
And my mother, to my harming me, like abusing me
Yeah, I mean, even in that way, I don't.
sexually.
Yeah.
So my biological father, this is the thing with my biological father. He sexually abused my older sisters. He didn't sexually abuse me physically. And so when my mother and father divorced, my siblings took all that out on me. And so when I was sexually abused by my brother when my parents were divorced, they felt like, so what? Your father is a rapist. You're it's like I was my father, so it's like why should we have sympathy for you? So my father didn't physically sexually abuse me, but he definitely still did extremely inappropriate stuff around me, in front of me. This is a story that I've never shared publicly. When my mother and father first divorced, I would go over to my father's house. My father physically abused me verbally and emotionally, totally. I'm talking about pounded on me,
Mm,
but not sexually. But let me tell you this story. I was in the tub, and this is why you have to be careful how you treat children. You never know what they will remember.
yeah.
And it happened one time, but it still happened. I was in the tub and I was bathing at my dad's house. And he would always fuss at me over anything. So he was fussing. He was like, "Why are you taking so long in the tub?" He was like, "What are you washing?" And I'm just like, I had to be like 6 or 7, no more than 6 or 7 years old. Um, if I'm wrong about that, I was 8, but I think I was 6 or 7. And he was like, "What are you washing?" I was like, "My legs." I mean, I'm just answering the question because I'm scared. I'm already in trouble. You're already fussing at me while I'm in the tub. And I watch him wince like he was fighting himself from doing something to me. It's like he was about to do, it's like he got turned on and then he was like, don't, don't do it. Yeah. Very disturbing. Very, and I remember that vividly.
And this is your biological father, but he wasn't the
Yes.
biological father of your older siblings. After the divorce of your parents, your older sisters eventually took that anger out on you.
Absolutely. Yes, they did immediately after the divorce. Really, the separation. As soon as my father was out of the house, it was like whatever animosity they had for him, I'm him now. And not only did my father do that, my father also beat on my mother directly in front of me. He bullied and beat on my older brother. So he abused all of my older siblings and my mother. Yeah.
What is your relationship with them like now?
Non-existent. None of them.
So you don't speak to your mom, your dad.
So I've tried, that's the thing. People hear me saying none. That's because after years of trying to have these same conversations that I'm having with you, and it getting swept under the rug. I'm getting gaslit. I'm getting manipulated. They're denying all of the stuff. One minute they want to admit it, the next minute they want to blame me, the next minute they want to act like I'm crazy. The last time I talked to my parents was in 2024, and I told them I will always love them, but I cannot do this anymore. And I've cut off my my parents 3 times, and I always try to go back. It's called Stockholm syndrome. I would always try to go back, and life would get hard, and I would try to go back, and they never changed. So it's non-existent with all of my siblings, all of my older siblings, and all of my and both of my parents.
Mm. All right. So now you have no relationship with your parents, no relationship with your siblings. How do you really feel about that? And let's just be honest, because that comes with a different type of pain. That hurts.
So I'm trying not to trigger you because you are an actual orphan, but I'm not an orphan, so I do not know your pain. I do not. And I can't even try to act like I do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to offend you when I say
No, you're
I
fine.
genuinely
Talk. I'm
feel
good.
like an orphan. And I've always felt like an orphan. I've always felt like an outsider. I used to genuinely believe that I was fucking adopted because of how I was treated. I'm like, this cannot, but I look just like my mom. I sound like them, but I'm like, I asked my mom, I said, and it's funny, but I said, did you actually have me or did a sister have me or something? And I don't know. I genuinely went to my mom and asked her that. I asked my mom, why did you have me? Why didn't you abort me? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So now what I go through is I wake up, oh my God. I wake up and I wake up confused in a sense because everybody I once knew, almost everybody, my childhood friends, the people that I literally grew up in the same house with, they are not around. They weren't around when I made certain milestones. So I feel like I've been picked out of my old life and plucked into a new life, and I'm starting over all over. So it's kind of like I wake up, I literally wake up out the bed and I look around like, what's going on? Because I envision my life to be a little different. I always thought my mother and father would be in my life, even though I would say certain stuff when I was a kid, like I can't wait to get the fuck up out of here. Excuse my
Right.
French, you know. But you still mentally cannot go, you have to go through the emotions. So I wake up like, and then you got to remember, I'm not even from Memphis either. So
Mm.
I'm not from Memphis. I have no family in Memphis. I don't even, the family I do have, I do not talk to them. I don't have any childhood friends that I could talk to. My childhood friends were my bullies. I made friendships based off of the childhood that I had. My first best friend, we became friends because she twisted my arm on the playground and I let her. And she was like, wow, girl, you just gonna let me do this to you? And then she pitied me. And then
Mm.
she didn't let anyone else bully me, but only she could bully me. And then we became friends like that because even though she bullied me, she still protected me from everybody else. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm.
all of the friendships that I developed reflected how my family treated me. They genuinely did not like me. They liked me as long as I was people pleasing.
Right. And that's the thing. So many of us, especially once you're caught up in, or start, if your life starts with abuse, neglect, abandonment, all of this, all of those things, people pleasing becomes a part of you, and that just continues on into your life. And so, based on what you told me, and based on what you shared on Instagram, I am going to make the assumption that this is how this led to the abusive relationship that you ended up.
Absolutely. Directly. Directly.
How
Hmm.
did that even start? I mean, because you're just a baby. You're only 27. And so
Hmm.
when you get into a relationship and that relationship becomes abusive, and I mean, you
Hmm.
have footage of this on your page. So it's not like
Yep.
anyone can say you're making this up. How
Hmm.
did that start? How old were you when that even happened?
So I was 22 when I met him. I was 24 when we broke up, right before I turned, like the month before I turned 25. So roughly 22 to 25, I was with him. But how it started was I was living with my family. So I'm already living with my molester, a man that molested me, and he's just walking around the house. And hell, I'm thinking it's normal too. My mother who abused me as a child, my siblings who did it, right? And so he came in and he's just like my father. I watched, so let me take you back to my father when I say he beat on my mother. He beat on every woman he ever dated. He abused every woman he ever dated directly in front of me, his baby girl. So I'm watching women get punched by my father. I'm watching women get slapped. I'm watching women get destroyed verbally directly in front of me at 6, 7, or 8 years old, and them believing what my father says. I'm watching my father cheat and flirt with other women after he introduced me to this woman that he says is my stepmother. And he never, I used to always think my father would one day, just one day, say, I'm sorry that I did that. That was wrong. He never acknowledged it. As a child, I always thought there's going to come a time when my dad's going to say, I'm so sorry I did that in front of you.
Mm.
Nothing. And that is why I cannot have a relationship with them. But anyways, so my father would, my father is very charismatic. He's tall, he's dark, he's handsome. He knows how to dress very well. He always smells good, and he's funny, right? He knows how to woo women. He knows how to, he loves bond women. He'll give you whatever you want. He'll make you feel real good. Ooh, he'll make you laugh. He'll make you laugh. He'll make you think he's the smartest man in the world. And when you get comfortable, when you feel like this is the man of my dreams, when you feel like, oh my God, I'm so lucky, the mask comes off. So that's the same way my ex was. But the difference is I was living with my abusers, right? I didn't have no car, no license, no job. I was begging my mother to teach me how to drive. She refused to do that. I was begging my mother to help me get my license. She refused to do that. I was begging my mother to help me get a car. She refused to do that. So my ex came in like a knight in shining armor. Hey, I'm going to help you do all of this. I'm going to pick you up for work 3 days out of the week. I'm going to send you money for your lift. I'm like, okay. And then he just came in. And then this is why people say don't tell men your past, because he knew a lot of stuff. He saw how they treated me in the house, and he knew how I felt. And so it was a perfect thing for him. It's easy to make her fall in love with me. And then he was getting me out of the house. He was taking me out like every weekend. So this is my escape. So I'm 22. Nobody warned me, that's why I work with little girls. Nobody warned me, don't move in with a man that you're not married to. Hey, he may seem like this. You ain't dated him long enough. Don't live with no man. Nobody said nothing. Because again, my family, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, the family that I experienced, the people that I knew, that when I did have a relationship with them, they're evil. I genuinely believe that. And I genuinely believe they love to see me struggle. I genuinely believe that. So, of course, they wouldn't warn me because they want me to go down a destructive path to make themselves feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
So, I moved out with him. Everything changed. But I will say he definitely showed signs of abuse. When we would argue, he would like ball up his fist. He wouldn't raise it, but he'll ball it up. And I'll be like, Are you balling up your fist while we're talking? And he would literally act like I was just seeing stuff. And I genuinely believed I was, because I was so used to being manipulated and being told that my reality isn't what it is, but it was.
Mm.
So he showed signs. He definitely showed signs. So it's not like, but I wanted so bad to get away from my family. I felt like I owed him something too. I wasn't used to people doing stuff for me. So when he was taking me out, when he helped me get my job, and all he did was just take me to my interview. And I was so, so appreciative of this one freaking ride to an interview. I feel like he was the reason I got a job. When I'm the one that put in the application, I'm the one that aced the interview. I'm the one that has the resume and can speak this way. I gave him all the credit. I was too appreciative too. You could be appreciative, but I was too appreciative to the point where I felt like I owed him. So I moved in with him, and then that's when he didn't have to, because he held the apartment over my hand too. So let's get into the financial abuse. I don't know much about men, apartments, and stuff. He's also from Memphis. Nobody said, girl, you don't know how he, my name went on the lease, but I was paying bills. I drained my savings to help us move in. I would always tell him how much money I made, how much was in my savings while not knowing anything about him. Financial abuse. And so to the point where he knew I drained my savings to be there. He knew I invested so much into this apartment that didn't have my name on the lease. And he would hold the apartment up over my head and tell me, you can go back home. And he knew I didn't want to go back home. So that's how, and that's why how a lot of women end up. in abusive relationships because they have no support. They
Mhm.
come from abuse, and that their abusers know that they come from abuse, know that they have no support, and they make it seem like, well, as long as you with me, I got you financially, but if you ain't with me, then ain't nobody gonna care about you. And that's exactly what my mama used to tell me,
Mhm.
verbatim. My mama used to say, if something happens to me, y'all will go into adoption. Nobody will care about y'all. Nobody will want y'all. My mom used to tell me all the time how she would just take her man, take my little brother, and leave me in that house to fend for myself for the rest of my life. Yep.
See, that's a lot. I wish I had known you because, baby, I'd be like, no, you don't do this for a man. You don't do that for a man. You don't,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I will be
Mm-hmm.
that mom to tell my daughters absolutely not
Mm-hmm.
because as you see, there it comes with a lot of financial abuse. And I mean, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it can even happen in marriage. I've seen it happen in marriages. But it's a little bit more, I don't want to say acceptable, but when you are married and you join your finances, that makes a little bit more sense. But
Right.
until you and this man share a last name, unless there is some sort of legal document saying that the two of you are have been joined in the holy matrimony, baby, don't you ever make that mistake again. And I know you've learned from your mistakes, but to me
Mm-hmm.
as a mother, don't you ever make that mistake again.
I'm activating mommy mode.
Yeah, because it's one of the worst decisions you can make. And now,
Yes.
based on what I saw on Instagram, at any point did y'all's relationship ever become physically abusive?
My ex?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. The
yeah.
first time he touched me, I remember it's, and people need to know because it starts so subtly. So he would grab, I would try to leave it where he'll grab me by my waist and kind of pull me back into the apartment. But it didn't hurt and it wasn't too aggressive. So, but you're putting your hands on me. You know what I'm saying? It would start like that. He would take stuff out my hands while we're arguing, like I'd be washing dishes, and he would go in the kitchen and just take stuff out my hands. He bullying me. So it started like that. And then the first day he really got abusive, he grabbed me by my neck, he picked me up and slammed me on the bed. And I was like, oh my God. I said, you just put your hands, and this was right after it happened. So I'm like shook up. And I'm like, oh my God, you just put your hands around your neck and slam me on the ground. He said, I slammed you on the bed. See how you lie? And I'm really thinking, oh, I did lie because I didn't say I said the ground instead of the bed. But it really didn't matter.
No, it
Manipulation.
didn't. No,
Right.
it did not.
So that's the first big abusive thing when he picked me. He used to love to grab me by my neck. He used to always do that.
Anytime a man thinks it's okay to put his hands around a female's neck on any part of her, unless it's done in an intimate way or an affectionate way, he's already shown you that it is time to walk away. And of
Hmm.
course, you know that now. But one day, if you have daughters of your own, you're going to have a whole lot to tell them. But you don't
Hmm.
ever
Hmm.
let that be the case because what this shows is that the life you were handed as a very young girl, you walked right into as an adult,
Yes.
and you sort of allow the cycle to repeat itself based on you thinking this is normal.
Yes.
I didn't have it here. I'm not going to get it there, or I didn't have it here, and he's going to give it to me because that's just what your thinking was. And then it led to you being abused and mentally, emotionally, spiritually,
Hmm.
physically,
Hmm.
sexually,
Hmm.
so much that it almost broke you down to being what would be a nothing or nobody. But then, of course, the good Lord steps in, right?
Let me say something about the spiritual abuse because
Hmm. Speak on it.
I'm gonna tell you exactly verbatim so you know. I didn't have a relationship with God when I first got in that relationship. That's probably the key. Did not pray, nothing, just astray. I had a relationship with God when I was 18 years old, and then I was in college. That's a whole nother story. I went down this wrong path. I was easily influenced because I didn't have no foundation before I even left home, and so I denounced Christ. I denounced the Bible, uh, and so this is in 2018. Fast forward to 2022. It's kind of when I get with Him, right? And I didn't have a relationship with God, but then towards the end, I did. And that's how I had the strength to lead. That's how I started calling out his BS. Let me tell you about the spiritual abuse. And I promise this girl, he would get jealous when I prayed.
Mm.
Do you hear me?
Wow.
He would genuinely get, and that's how I know this man is narcissistic. Everybody loves to throw out their word. He would get jealous the way I would get on my knees and pray to God, the way I would cry to God, because it's like for something, it's like he wanted to be my God. When he put his hands around my neck, he felt like he owned me. You know what I'm saying? So he would get so jealous when I would pray, when I would talk about God, when I would walk around the house singing to God, because I sing to God. And so there was some spiritual abuse, and I genuinely believe he was demonic. Who the hell gets jealous of prayer? Who the hell gets jealous of their woman singing to God? He would get like angry. He would feel some type of way. He would feel threatened. And for from knowing him from 2020 all the way to 2023, he never, not once talked about God. Not
Mm.
once. Never. Nothing. And so I gave my life to Christ and God in 2022, at the end of 2022. I left him at the beginning of 2023. And so when I gave my life to God, I started talking about God than he did. And I was like, come on, pray with me. Come on, da da da. He said, I know how to pray. And I said, well, I ain't never heard you talk about God until I started. And he just got pissed. So yeah, definitely was some spiritual abuse.
It's it's funny to know that a man would have a problem with you on your knees praying, but he won't have a problem with you being on your knees for something else. We really
Exactly.
have to be careful of what spirits we allow in. And I say that now as an adult and much older than you, but this is stuff that we weren't taught. Um,
Hmm.
it was just a matter of being told keep your legs closed, but no one said the why. I don't think there was anyone who was
Yeah.
able to talk about the why. It goes far beyond pregnancy, right? That's just
Soul
one part
ties.
of it. But when you talk about spiritual connections and what happens to you and how it changes your spiritual being, right? But that's another story. Um,
Yes, yes,
a
yeah.
lot
I
of
feel
that
you.
could be connected to what you open your spirit to, you
Yes.
open your body to, things that we don't know, things that we don't discuss.
And that is what I teach little younger girls, I say, because I feel like we've watered down sex so much, and
Of
there's
course.
nothing casual sex.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing casual about it.
Nope.
That's the most personal thing you could ever do with anybody on this earth, is to allow them to enter inside of your body, your temple.
Yep.
So trust me, I get you. You're exposing yourself to far worse than diseases.
Diseases and pregnancy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because these are the things that can be cured.
Mhm.
Pregnancy, let's not act like abortion is not a thing. When you talk about STDs, let's not acting like there's not a pill for it. But what happens when your spirit is being tampered with? How do we clean that? What is that purge like?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
So, but again, that's a whole nother story. We talk about all forms of abuse from just what you lived and just what you went through. And you said you're a molester. Was this because I want to go back to that when you said you all of this was happening by while you were thinking about moving in with your ex and then your molester was living in the house. Was this alleged molester also your stepbrother or was this somebody else who lived
This is
in?
my biological brother. My biological, the one that
That's what I want to
molested
talk
me.
about.
Hmm.
Your biological brother,
Hmm.
he was okay with touching his little sister inappropriately in the most disgusting way. Do you know if he was ever a victim of any sort of sexual abuse?
Believe he was. I don't know for sure, but and if he was, I wouldn't put it past my father, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I genuinely believe that my brother was touched. I don't have any concrete evidence. I genuinely believe that. I genuinely do.
So where were their fathers?
Not around. So this is another thing that goes into the animosity. My dad, although he was abusive, he was present and he was active. way more active and present than their father. Their fathers was literally deadbeats. I mean, they would literally trash their dads, but they would trash my dad 10 times more than their own father. Their fathers were literally not around. Like, one father was, they were out of state, or even if they were in the same small town that we was in, they would rarely ever come around. Rarely ever come around. For years, I didn't see any of my siblings' father pull up to the house. But even when my father and my mother divorced or separated, my dad would still pull up and bring us snacks and presents and stuff like that. He would still come get us and take us somewhere, or we would stay the weekend at his house. So that still created animosity, because it's like, they were jealous. They were jealous. And then also, before my mother and dad divorced, my dad did spoil me materialistically, and he did nothing for my siblings. So again, it just added to the animosity. They already hate my dad. Then my dad treated me like this in front of them. And I genuinely believe my dad was trying to make them jealous on purpose, because he's childish like that. My dad likes to make people jealous of his children, and then turn around when it's just him alone with the children, he still treat the children bad. So, but their fathers were not around, literally. I mean, they probably came around once every blue moon, but I lived with them. I didn't see their fathers, and they would talk about it.
When you learned about the abuse your sisters suffered at the hands of your father, your biological father, did at any point you have any resentment toward him?
I confronted him. So at first, did I have? No, it really didn't hit me, because Hmm. I had a sister on my father's side. So I have two sisters on my mother's side, an older sister on my father's side. She said she didn't believe it, so as a child, and then they abusing me, so I didn't have time to really resent him for what he did to her, because hell, she's beating on me and abusing me, and he is too. So, but I am the only one, they use that as ammunition against me. Like, anytime I talked about what I went through or how I felt, we could be watching a movie, and I could be talking about the bad guy in the movie, and they'd be like, Janiqua, how you gonna say something about him and your daddy is like this? I'm like, and I would feel like, oh, let me be quiet. I didn't have the mental capacity to say, what the hell they got to do with me?
Right.
And so but she kept, they always used, even in my 20s, she still would bring it up like a scapegoat, or a way to belittle my opinion, belittle my emotions, belittle my feelings, belittle my logic, belittle my reasoning, because my father is a pedophile, because my father is abusive. And she would talk about, well, Janiqua, you should forgive him because I had to forgive your dad. And so I said, y'all like to say so much about my dad. Y'all supposed to took all that to y'all mama.
Mm.
Your mother is the one that laid with him and had me. And then she gave him another baby after that. She gave my father two children, and she married him. That's the only man she married out of all of her baby daddies, the one that molested her daughters. And so I confronted my dad, though. I said, did you confront him? Did my mama confront him? I'm the one that confronted him about how he did so, but y'all still want to come at me. I confronted him about what he did to you, and you're the older sister. This ain't, I'm not even really supposed to know about this. I got exposed to this when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I wasn't even supposed to know about this, but I'm the only one with the balls to say something to him about it.
Mm.
So yeah. No,
So
I really
now,
don't.
so so you are but you're the youngest of six. So that means you and the another sister have the same. The two of you share a father.
Yeah, on my dad's side. My dad had another child before he got with my mother. And my mother had another son by my father. I have a little brother. We have the
Ah,
same, we have the same mother and father. Hmm.
gotcha. Okay. So now let's go back to the confrontation. How does dad respond to the alleged acts that he did to your siblings? Was
So
it
he's,
denial or?
yes, and it's playing the victim, because it's typical. I can laugh at it now a little bit, because it's just so freaking typical. He played victim. He said, I threw up when you sent me that message, and I cried so bad. And then he got his girlfriend to call me and be like, well, what if it is a lie? I mean, we don't know this to be true. First of all, let's say my sister is lying. I don't believe they're lying. Even though I don't have a relationship with them, they're not lying on him. I know by his behavior alone he's a pedophile. My father would sit up and talk about underage girls to me. I played basketball, I played sports. He would go to my basketball games. When I'm done playing sports, I would sit beside him like, oh, my dad, and my dad is tall. He plays sports really well. I would sit beside him. He would sit and talk about the cheerleader skirts. And the reason, this is why I do what I do, because now we're really finna get, this is why I tell my story and why I confront abusers and why I believe in exposing abusers. I tell you, they feel so comfortable.
Mm.
He's talking about this, not just in secret. Yeah, man. He talking about with another dude. He like, yeah, man, this is how I know that them cheerleaders' butts are big because this is their thighs. And if the skirt is this far off of their thighs, that's how you know how big their butts is and how high it is. He's talking about it openly. He's comfortable. He's comfortable with it.
So, so your father's nasty. I mean,
He's disgusting.
okay.
He's vile. And it gets really even deeper than that.
Mm. So now you know, um, because you're openly sharing your story. Now you know the people who know you knows your father is a predator, allegedly. Knows your mom is an abuser, allegedly, and you walk in boldness because now you're just unashamed. You're like, yeah, this is what happened to me. This is what they did to me. It is what it is.
I've had certain people that know my mother that have reached out to me and said that they have kept me while I was in daycare and I was going to daycare with bloody noses and cuts and stuff. And they was about to report my mom to CPS and she pulled all of her children out of that daycare. When I first came public about my abuse, this was before my Instagram got popping off back on Facebook. I had this woman call me and said, I sensed some jealousy too, the way she used to handle you when you were two. This is what I cannot remember. When you were 2 or 3 years old, she used to just grab you. I just sensed some jealousy, she said, because you was the prettiest little girl.
Mm.
Some of them my mother does. My mother is a physically beautiful woman. She's very intelligent. She's very hardworking. But people, one thing about it is the truth will always leave a trail. It's not just gonna pop out of nowhere. So some people that know my mother, they know that she's mean, and then they probably found out this, and they probably some of them probably go, not surprised. My father actually went to jail several several times. He went to jail for what he did to my sisters. It's just that my mother forced my sisters to tell the police that they made everything up. My father was in the newspaper for what he did to my sister back in like 2000. That's why I walk so boldly too, because it ain't
Right. Right.
what.
It's out there. Are
Yeah.
you the only one who's been ostracized from the family based on, you know,
Yes.
yeah?
The craziest part to me is everything that I'm talking about to you. We've talked about it. It's just nobody want to confront the issue. So all of my siblings, we used to get together and talk about how poorly. Because my mother didn't only treat me poorly. I just feel like I got the brunt of it. She treated my other siblings poorly too. She did. And we all would talk about how poorly she treats us, how she choose men over us, how she choose horrible men, how she's a bully. But I'm the only one that will go to her. And I told her, I said, I'm going to tell you what your other kids scared to tell you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they like the gossip and say, oh, as long as we keep it in the family, I don't believe in it because y'all are really not no family.
Mm. Now we have to discuss what this looks like generationally. Do you know if your mom could have been abused by your grandmother?
She was she hates she would hate it, but I mean it's the truth. And again, I tried to give them this is why I walk so bold. I've tried to talk to y'all.
Mm.
Y'all didn't want to talk to me. I'm not like y'all. I don't sit on a bunch of secrets. I don't believe in passing down trauma. I don't believe in sweeping the wrong things under the rug. You know what I'm saying? You dig in your nose, you poop your pants, you can sweep that under the rug. But when it's something like abuse, no ma'am. So my mother, this is what my mother did when we started getting older. She used to tell us how my grandmother brutally abused her, right? But she would tell us so that we wouldn't confront her about how she abused us. So she would be like, yeah, and I just would never tell y'all, grandma, because I know it would hurt her. And I think she's made up. And I said, Mom, well, you still hurting about it because you still talking about it to your kids. And I
Mhm.
said, it's not right. And I said, so are you I was very honest. I said, are you telling us so we won't talk to you about what you did to us? And that's why they really didn't like me. So yes, also my mother was molested. She was molested by her uncle. And my mother wasn't protected. My mother was not protected. My mother had a horrible childhood. And I felt bad for her. And I could talk about it now because I've tried to talk about it with her for so long. And you dismiss me and you abuse me. So you make your trauma my fault. I'm not having that. Now I can feel bad for you and I can hope that you heal. I suggested that she heal. I said, Mama, I came out of your womb. I used to feel my mother's pain when she used to walk around me. I have messages where I've told her that. I said, Mama, it's killing you from the inside out. And I used to tell her, do you know secrets can keep you sick? It can keep you physically sick. It can manifest into cancer and all of these things because it's sitting in your insides and you're not releasing it. I'm just crazy. And it's funny because out of all her children, I am literally the crazy, drugged up, crackhead child. Like she will go around and tell people, I'm just so crazy, girl.
Every
I'm
family
so.
got one, right? That's what they say. Every family got one.
So yes, definitely.
I
It's generational for sure.
Yeah, it's and unless we stop it, it will continue to perpetuate.
Hmm.
That's what I find so funny, specifically as it relates to the black community, because
Hmm.
we some ignorant folks. We will not get therapy. It's
No,
associated with craziness and
some wrong mental, or you
just
you need to
ignorant.
be.
You know,
Yeah, it's like it's the worst thing ever to talk about what you've been through. It's like it is though, isn't it?
yeah,
If you go therapy, you just crazy. It's
yeah,
borderline mental hospital
yes,
straitjacket is what they think
yes.
when they think of therapy.
And because of that, the stigma is created that, oh yeah, she crazy. She over there talking to, these people telling them all her business. So this is the part that bugs me out. I can't talk to a therapist and tell a therapist my business and my feelings, but you could go around town gossiping about everything I'm going through, but I can't share it. That's another reason why I decided, oh, we could talk about adoption. I don't need you telling my story. Tell yours, I'll tell mine. Right? But we don't want to do that. It's associated with, again, you become ostracized
Hmm.
by your own family
Hmm.
because you are stepping out and you are healing in the most untraditional way. So
Hmm.
if you heal and laying on somebody's couch, you're crazy. If you heal out loud, you're crazy and a liar, and you're just trying to start
I
trouble.
sure was always crazy.
So
I think my
how
mother just feared me. I genuinely do. She said it. My father had said but I always tell people, trust and believe and receive. My family knew this day was coming. I've always been like this. They knew this day was coming. That's why my mother went on ahead and started the she's crazy stuff and like, I should have got you some help as a baby. Nigga, you should have got you some help. You know what I'm saying? So you should have got you some help and this wouldn't be going on.
I mean,
So
and it ain't even too late. It ain't even too late.
I don't
That's
know,
the
honey.
thing.
Some people so far gone, you know how you lie so much, you really start to believe your own lies. Listen, so I've seen some people get in near death experiences that don't change. That's why I work with children because sometimes when they say you're almost done developing when you get to 25, when you hit that wall, you are who you are. Some people change. I hope to always change, no matter how old I get, but
Yeah.
some
I
people
mean,
don't change.
yeah, it's change is good, but some people get so comfortable in their lives that they feel like they don't need to change. And I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's scary.
there's always room for growth. I don't know
Mhm.
why we feel like, oh, I'm 50 years old, ain't no change in me now. But there should be. It's so ridiculous. And then now you get to work with little girls, pretty little girls. What do you see with the young girls that you work with? Because I know every child is different, right? Every child is different. Everyone comes from a different walks of life, different cultures, different backgrounds. All of that is different. So now you have to change who you are for each child that you work
Yes.
with. Do you right? Do you notice that some of the little girls may have already experienced some trauma that you may have possibly experienced?
Definitely. Definitely. Um, what I like about working with children is if a child trusts you, not just a 5-year-old, they'd be like, "Oh, my mama went to jail last week." Not that type of like the teenagers and the preteens, they trust me to tell me things
Yeah.
that mean so much to me.
Mhm.
They just them alone. And they tell me everything. Like they tell me if they fell out with a friend at school. And I think it's because I listen. I listen to anything. Like, if your favorite color pink, why is your favorite color pink? Oh, this movie came out. I genuinely listen. And because I never had that, it was always sit down, shut up, go over there. And so when I work with children, I think they trust me because they know I care about everything about them. If they want to get their hair redone, what type of shoes they like, how they're feeling, are you on your period? You broke up with your boyfriend this weekend, girl. You went through his phone, girl. So like I don't think I'm a mother figure. I want to be a mother figure. I think they look at me like I'm a big
Yeah.
sister.
I see that on one of your Instagram videos, you are very vocal about a situation where there was a young girl being sexually abused in a home that CPS placed her back into. I want to make sure I get that right. What
Yes.
was that scenario? Because that everything about that looked wrong to me.
So this is my goddaughter. This is my goddaughter. So she's not one of the girls I work with. This is actually my goddaughter. So I have a personal relationship with all of them, but this is my baby, right? Um, I met her back in 2023. She was getting bullied by the neighborhood kids. And so I met her before, I saw all of that. She was so doggone bold. And I'm like, I was sleeping at this girl's house and I heard some kids outside. And I love to go where the children are anyway. So I'm just going to be nosy, like, oh, let me see who these people are. And she was like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Who are you?" And she said, "My name is such and such, and I'm a rapper." I said, "Oh yeah, well spit something." And she just started rapping, and it was, it wasn't vulgar or cursing. And I was like, "Oh, she's so bold and she's so talented." So I just started complimenting her. And then I think one day she just ran to me crying and telling me what happened. So I went outside and I said, "Show me who did it." And she showed me the girls that were picking on her. And I didn't tear those girls down. I uplifted all of them, but I got them to see the bigger picture that at the end of the day, y'all are sisters, y'all are black, y'all already got a strike against y'all. And I said, y'all need to stick together. I said, all of y'all are beautiful. This is not how y'all supposed to be conducting yourselves. It just kind of gave them an empowering speech and made them all feel loved and held all of them accountable. And so we just gotten closer and closer. And I listened to her. So the raps, she wanted to bring me more raps. So I would listen to the raps. So she started to trust me more and more. And then eventually she confided in me and told me she was molested. And I took her straight to the hospital. I also witnessed how her family treated her. They will always say she be lying. They will always say she's a liar. So I did not go to her family about that because I genuinely didn't believe anything would get done. He was already living in the house. And when he moved in the house, he took her bedroom and she was on the couch. So I'm not, and I don't have no shame in it. So I took her straight to the hospital. Um, and the police came up there and I sat with her and just supported her as she told her story. She had to tell her story like 3 times and I supported her emotionally. And through that situation, that's how she became my goddaughter because I refused to leave her life after that. And so that was in 2023. Now, I'm still going through what I'm going through. Homelessness. I was homeless through all of that too, by the way. I'm couch surfing. I'm sleeping at her relative's house, you know. And as I build my life up, I take her with me. So she has been in this apartment. I never severed their relationship. I remember when I told her, "Hey, I gotta move," she started crying because she thought, "Wow, this is somebody who actually listens to me and defends me. Now you gone, and you're the only reason that I feel like I have the message that I can't do this without you." I said, "Do not say that. I'm always here. I just don't live there anymore." So I would get her on weekends. A lot of times she would text me and say she hungry and her mom just will refuse to buy her food, and I would drop everything and go bring her food and stuff. She was locked outside the house on Thanksgiving Day in the cold, and her mama is gone out to eat with relatives, and the people that dropped her off didn't even watch her to go in the house and just drove off, and she's like 9 or 10 around this time. I would have to intervene. And so we get up to the point where last summer, she got jumped by those same girls. Those same girls. And I feel like they were jealous of her because when I would get her, her clothes would either be too big or too little or just dirty. And when I say dirty, dirty to the point where I can put them in the washing machine and the stains wouldn't come out. And so I would always have to buy her socks. I used to have to buy her. I used to have to buy her stuff that a little girl should not need, stuff that is standard stuff she should have. Right. I used to always have to do her hair. Her hair would be matted, like, and so I would always give her basically makeovers when she would come with me. And I wouldn't just buy stuff for her to have here. I would send her back with stuff: deodorant, underwear, bras, socks, shoes. If I had the money, I would get her hair done, but I used to do her hair. I used to take down her hair. I used to deep condition her hair. I took care of her. You know what I'm saying? I talked to her about a lot of stuff. And so one weekend, I sent her back with so much stuff, not just clothes. I gave her some painting supplies, some activities. I splurged on her one weekend. I was doing so good. And those girls, they know me because I love all children. But she didn't have a mother or father to me. They were alive, but I know how that feels for your parents to be alive and be in your life, and they are not. You still don't have parents. So I was more so closer with her because if they get jumped, they mama coming outside. Nobody's coming behind her.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying nothing. And that she was a target because the neighborhood children saw how her family treated her. They knew nobody was going to come defend her, and of her attire, of her appearance. She was an easy target. Nobody's going to come be like, "Don't be doing this to my daughter. Don't be doing this to my baby cousin." Nobody's going to do that. So they would get jealous of her because it's like, "Oh, it's like this," and this is how I put it. You in school, you got the cool kids table, right? And then you got the loser girl with the nerdy glasses, right? And then you got a new kid coming on the block, and it's a boy. And the cool kids think, "Oh, he's about to come sit over here with us," and he goes sit over there with the nerdy girl. And they like, that's how they felt when I took her up. They all loved me. I was their favorite, and I took her up. And so I left, and I kind of battled with that because when I left, it's like I'm helping her, but by me helping her, I'm still putting a more target on her because they're jealous that she's glowing and that she still is like, getting all this attention and she's special. So that one weekend, she came home with these big old bags, and they know my car because I lived over there for a month. I dropped her off, and they jumped her, and then I came and got her. When they jumped her, and I said she's not coming back here. And I talked to her parents and her guardians, and they said okay. And I went back to get her stuff. Her stuff was stolen. The stuff that I bought her, it was stolen. The activities, the shoes, they went there and stole. And I was like, this is straight up jealousy. And I'm like, she don't even have half of what y'all got. And I made a GoFundMe about her. I got permission from the family because I said, I don't have children. So I'm taking on this big responsibility. And then she comes here. That's when her sister tells me, did you know she also had a gun pulled on her and pointed at her too, a couple of days before that? So I make her file a police report about that. And I say, okay, I need to go fund me because I'm finna get you now. You're not going back. I started getting donations. The family got jealous. And I didn't say any names. I told the situation, what happened from the time I met her to up until now. Hey, you guys, I need support. And they were on, this is how I know they really don't care. They were only mad because I revealed some information about allegedly that went on in the family, which is part of the reason why her mother can't take care of her. Didn't say no names at all. And at the end of the day, if y'all were doing y'all job, it's plenty of y'all is one of me. It shouldn't take a stranger to step in. I don't believe in that. So I genuinely believe they just was jealous of the support and attention that she was getting. And then they called my phone threatening me. And then they went to the police and lied and said I kidnapped her. We go up, and that's where you see that video. We get up, we actually at the police station. People think we're just arguing CPS. I'm fighting the police, CPS, and her family at the same time while still trying to console her.
You are
I'm
kidding me.
fighting for her. Yes.
That was at the police station
Yes, ma'am.
because I saw the video and I was like, okay, I could see that you were really advocating for this child and what looked like her family, but I wasn't sure. And I was just, I was like, wait a minute, because I couldn't imagine being a family, a parent, or even an aunt, and being like, okay, well, she can go live with you. And you were so vocal, and it looked like it was CPS. It looked like it was family. I could not make out what that
The
was.
police wasn't in the video. They was standing, but they weren't in the video, but they was right there too. And one of them was like kind of on my side. He empathized, and then the other police officer, which was a black woman, she was rude too. No empathy. So that is how that came about. And the funniest part is they said I kidnapped her. But when we get to the police station, she admits on camera, "Oh, we're not here for her. We're here for the mother." I'm like, if you here for the mother, then why are we here? You because of your ego. You're mad that I told the truth for how y'all been treating and neglecting and abusing this child. And then they did not greet her or hug my goddaughter when we got there. Nothing. We was up there for 3 to 4 hours. They didn't speak to her. They didn't greet her. They didn't say, "How you okay? Do you need water?" If she's kidnapped, right? Why is she sitting beside me, clutching me, holding on
Right,
to me?
right.
If she's kidnapped. Also, I had evidence. I had a notarized parental relinquishment and custody agreement signed by her mother and her guardian. I also had her discharge papers from when I took her to the hospital
I,
with my name on it.
and I mean, you know how connected the term relinquished and adoption, how connected they are. Because when you relinquish your rights, you essentially give your child up. Sometimes it could be for adoption, sometimes it can be in kinship care or what have you. But relinquishment and adoption most times go hand in hand. I can't understand why you would raise a child until a certain age just to relinquish her to someone that she's finding love from, but that you barely know, right?
Hmm.
And the family's okay with that. They were like, "Go, let her go."
So her mother had 4 to 5 kids. She gave all her children up. My goddaughter was the youngest. All of them she gave up, according to a very valuable source from the family who actually had custody of my goddaughter. The source, she actually got to know me very well. The mother, bro, I have to tell you some stuff off camera. The mother is not there. She's not there. She's not present. Again, she refused to even feed her at times. And she had food. She just said, "I just don't feel like cooking." The mother is absent. She is emotionally absent. She's absent. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
So, and I had been there for about 2 to 3 years at that point. Remember, she would call me and I would always show up. And then I think they were mad at me when I called the police and got her rapist put in jail, but they didn't let me know that. Instead, they embraced me, and that is I would go over to their houses and spend time with them with my goddaughter, you know.
So about I want to say maybe 3 weeks ago, if that, I was in conversation with someone, and this young lady and I were talking. And we found it odd how a drug addicted mother can birth a child, give the child up, no problem. They know that this mother is using drugs, carrying a child. As long as she gives the child up, fine. But a mother who keeps the child in her care, who uses drugs in front of her child, can be arrested, taken to jail. That's fine. But what I find crazy is the fact that they would allow these women who give up their children, whether it's connected to drugs, neglect, whatever, to have multiple kids without finding out what is this woman's problem. Why? Because the state has everything documented. It's not like, oh, we didn't know this before. All hospitals now have access to medical records. They will absolutely see that this woman has had 4 or 5 children prior to your goddaughter that are no longer in her care,
Hmm.
and perfectly fine with this woman having more kids.
Hmm.
Hello, what state is this? I know you said you're not originally from Memphis.
Tennessee, and
Tennessee.
allegedly, she does drugs as well. And if you watch the video, she would say, "I said doing drugs in front of your child is not how you do it," because they told me the way I helped my goddaughter, they was like, "That's not how you do it," and they made me snap. That's when I go to say, letting a child be molested is not how you doing it. Abusing a child is not how you doing it. Doing drugs in front of your child is not how you do it. That's what made me say that, because it's like, y'all, could I have went about it a better way? Sure. Yeah, sure. Of course. If you
Mhm.
look back at anything you do, there's a better way of doing it. Hindsight is the best vision, but it damn sure was better than what y'all were doing, because she wasn't getting abused, neglected, or anything in my care. I guarantee you that. So,
And they were okay with that. They were okay with relinquishing. Mom was okay with relinquishing her rights, but the police wanted to fight. Nothing that the law does makes sense. Nothing that these state laws don't make sense. Police officer behavior, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I
I
try to
was
make
literally
sense
treated
of it.
like a criminal. I was literally, they were gonna, they tried to arrest me and put me in jail on kidnapping charges. And like she told me, my goddaughter said CPS said that I'm supposed to be in jail. And that's when I just knew, okay, y'all just genuinely don't care. I have all this information. You have her testimony. She wants to go with me. And it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, And then if, thank God, God forbid, if that girl were to take her precious, beautiful life,
Yeah,
that's when y'all would care. And
yeah,
y'all would arrest the mother for neglect.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's usually how it goes. And um, I want to say, y'all drug dealers out there, stop selling drugs to these mothers, whether they're pregnant or not. Y'all are a part of the problem.
Yes, I definitely agree with
It
that.
makes no sense that, I mean, drugs isn't good for anybody, but you're talking about a woman who's pregnant and a woman who has to care for children. Y'all selling drugs.
They will sell them to children.
And I
Hell.
know that's the craziest thing in the world, because what happens is, so I can't remember what it's called, but I know it's the pipeline, the education pipeline, whatever. When children don't pass state mandated testing by third grade, they start building jail cells. Oh, by the time this child is 8 years old, if they are not passing or performing well on state mandated exams, they start building the pipe. It's the pipeline of prison. That's what it's called. It's the pipeline of prison. They start building prisons based on what they believe is going to be this child's future at 8 years old, without an understanding of what this 8 year old could have possibly have already gone through and or experienced, right? Because I know I saw a video of someone saying the first time they did drugs was 8 years old with their father. So what chance does this child have if you're already doing drugs with the very person who's supposed to care
Why
for
don't
you.
you take the money and resources you're using to build that jail, to put it in the school systems, put it in counseling, put it in childcare, to increase the results, the grades, instead of taking it and be like, oh, jail. I mean,
That's the million dollar question.
a child can still be molded at 8 years old.
That is the
It's a
million dollar
choice.
question. Absolutely. Because you have these prisons that are privately owned, right? In connection with the state, because we are housing these people, paying for them the food, paying for them to eat, paying for their food, their medical care, all of that, because these privately owned prisons are in connection with the state and they have relationships with the state, and so this is how they figure it out. And you're figuring it out based on what or how an 8-year old child performs. So yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Let's see how much sense that makes when the child suffers, more importantly, and you just getting rich off of somebody's trauma, somebody's abandonment, someone's hurt, someone's neglect, their abuse. All of that is connected to this child that you already believe, oh, is going to be in jail by the time they are 18 years old. And what happens is,
Hoping that they're in jail, because at this
right,
point you're just hoping it.
absolutely. And it's very possible it happens, but is this the only thing y'all can come up with? Building a prison opposed to, like you said, providing the necessary resources for these children? These are
That's
innocent
just
people.
That's just what they want. That's just what they want. It's so many different ways you can go about it. You can literally put that money into the school system. You can
Yeah.
literally put that money into the community. You can literally create. We can create an organization
Mhm.
that really helps these children. And then another thing is, it's a pipeline, because I feel like the way the school system is set up is reflective of the jail system. Whether you wake up, somebody tell you where to go, what to eat. You have two choices, and then you get out. It's like I'm homeschooling my children because I believe that the school is set up to program a child to not think for themselves. Because you got to think about it, school doesn't teach you about life. It doesn't teach you about investments, taxes, health, wealth, all this, a lot of stuff. I would say, bro, like literally over 50% of the stuff I learned in school is not applicable to life.
No. Tell
And
me
then
about it.
they tell you to go straight to college, more money.
Right.
So, but the way public schools are set up, it's jail like. Yeah. So I think just school itself programs children to prison.
Yeah. And it's so I think it's bogus. I think it's crazy. And then you have people like you who take the goodwill to do all of this work on your own based on what you went through and what you saw again by the age of 8 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're
And
but
it's all a lot.
you're what, 98, baby?
Yeah. Yeah. Hit it
Okay.
on the money. 98.
Baby, I was hill towing, okay? In 98, I was doing the hill toe, baby, okay? And so I'm like, oh my God. Oh my gosh, 98 was such a good year. Oh my gosh, it was such a good year. Such a good year. But so with all that you have experienced, Janiqua, uh, what you've gone through, of course, coming to know God help you, coming to know Christ help you, and you don't really need any other help after that.
No. You know,
So
I appreciate it, but that's what did everything for me.
yeah, yeah,
Saved me.
yeah. I mean, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, because you have the video of being put out of your home. Let me ask you this, was your ex-boyfriend the one recording that video?
Which video?
It looked like you were it looked like you were scratched or whatever, but it looked like you were packing your things.
I recorded it because it was right after I called the police to, and I had so many other pictures and stuff too, so many other pictures, but it might come out, it might not. I contacted some people that may have them, but for evidence, and I'm so glad I did. And I actually do have the video of him putting my clothes in the trash bag to throw me out. Yeah. And so sometimes he would just take my stuff and throw it out the door. And actually, in that clip, I had sent him $300 like 2 minutes before he did that. He harassed me about money and then took my money and then put me out. Yeah.
And yet you have overcome. You are now helping and changing the lives of little girls in your neighborhood and where you work. And I mean, I commend you for that because somebody has
Thank
to
you.
do it. Really, somebody
That's
has to
exactly
do it.
how I feel. That's why I do it. Instead of saying we need more people like you, be that person.
Yeah,
Just be that person.
yeah,
And then the more people we have thinking like that, the better off the world will be. Somebody has to do it. Somebody got to do the stuff. And there are other people that do stuff that I don't want to do,
right, right.
but somebody has to do it. That's literally how I feel. Yes, that's the key word right there.
What do you think is going to happen? Because I know last year, and if you don't know who Tasia Simone is, she's a good person to follow because she last year she shared her story with me about how she was allegedly sexually assaulted by her stepfather, um,
Mm.
and gave birth to his child and all of that. But it's Tasia Simone. Check her out. Um, but I asked her, and I have to ask you, if your family sees this, what do you think they're gonna say? You're lying,
I'm
huh?
lying. I'm lying. I'm crazy. I'm making this all up. I just want money. I'm scamming. Um, or they'll make up lies about me. They'll probably say I'm abusive, you know. I'm not perfect, but I damn sure I'm not abusive. You know what I mean? So yeah, they'll say I'm crazy, I'm lying, I'm doing this all for money. I just want some attention. I just don't want to work. I'm scamming. Let me see what else. Let me go down the list. Yeah.
And and because and the reason why I ask because we know our families, right? So we can kind of
Yes.
get ahead of what we know is going to come. And with everything that you know that they will potentially say, your response to them would be what?
Nothing. The hell? Because the truth speaks for us. I ain't got nothing to say to them. God bless you. Pray. I pray that like, I ain't got nothing to say. My
I
brother went in my comments and was threatening me. I
really,
just used it. I just used it for content. I've already went through that pushing that I fought with them back in 2022, 2023. So it's like, whatever.
yeah,
Because when you have a relationship with God, and I have not talked about God enough, but I'm gonna talk about it now. When you have a genuine relationship with God and you really believe in God, what can you do? I mean, God knows I'm telling the truth.
yeah,
God knows my intentions. He knows my heart. He for sure knows what happened. So I don't feel no type of way if you say I'm lying. I think it's hilarious
yeah,
because I do believe you reap what you sow. So you're just trapping yourself in this cycle of delusion, negativity, chaos, toxicity. I'm setting myself free. So you can say whatever you want. The truth is the truth. You can't move it, you can't change it. It's the truth. It's what happened. And I'm gonna tell you something. When I started to heal in my relationship with God, I started to reach back to everybody that I've hurt. A girl that I bullied when I was in the seventh and eighth grade. This little boy that I was mean to when I was in the ninth grade. My first boyfriend when I was 16. So anybody that I can recollect or remember that I've hurt, I've apologized to them. Even if they come out and say, she's did this, she did that. I will own it. I'll be like, yeah, that sounds like me, but I apologize for that. And, I pray to God that you're healing. If you want, another apology, yeah, I'll give you that again. But now you can't do it 10 years later. But you know what I mean? I own it. So I don't really have nothing. I'm sensitive about certain things like my goddaughter because I still do not have her right now. My niece as well. I do not have her. But at the end of the day, I rest that God knows who I am. He knows what I do behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. He knows what happened with my niece, what happens with my goddaughter. So I rest in that truth.
mhm.
So when you're really telling the truth, I mean, y'all was there when that happened. You
You
know what I mean?
know, when I heard people say before, no response is the best response. True words have never been spoken because you really don't have to entertain
No.
lies and ignorance, right?
Mhm.
Because sure, there are some people out here who can make some stuff up. Absolutely, it happens every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when you show what you've shown on your Instagram, and her Instagram is on the screen, you all can follow her, see more of her story, the work that she's doing, and how she's helping little girls. She's written a book. Please let us talk about the book, Janika. I'm sorry, I'm messing up. Tell us about the book, what inspired the book, and how relatable the book is to the young
Let
girls.
me go get it. I did not. It's right here. This is the cover. So, of course, what inspired the book, my niece. So what happened was I just left an abusive relationship. I had confronted my abusers too. I confronted my mother. I confronted my siblings about my childhood, and they were, gaslighting me, just didn't remember anything. And then, when I called the police on my ex, I was arrested and thrown in jail. So I got out of jail and I had a court date. I had to call out of work for a court date and I got fired. So it's like I'm ostracized by my family. I'm leaving an abusive relationship. I fall out with my family about my niece. My niece is getting abused. I did everything in my power to protect her. Called CPS, the police, DCS, showed them the pictures, showed them the evidence. They didn't care. Feeling like I failed my niece. Um, I go to jail, get out of jail. That's a traumatizing experience. Then I lose my job. Also, when I got out of jail, my ex egged my car. So I had to drive my car to get scrape the egg off in the hot sun. Then when I got back home, I got a phone call that I was fired. So all this happened in like 2 weeks. And so I'm just like in a daze. And so I birthed this book in that very moment. And this book is what I basically had to tell myself, all the things I had to tell myself to keep moving, and all the things that I wish I could tell my niece. And so this is what this book means to me. And I actually, let me tell you another reason why I was late on this interview. Because I knew that it wasn't my time, like my standard time, but I forgot it because I got thrown off because this girl, this woman, she sent me a picture, girl, of this little girl. She had homework and she chose to write about, she had literary homework. She chose to write about my book. And she sent me the picture of the homework. Girl, I started crying. I have a headache now from crying because I saw my name in that little girl's handwriting. And it says, who is the book about? And she wrote a black girl. And then it says, how did the book start? And she wrote with her looking in the mirror. And then she said, how did the book end? The mirror showed her that God heard her prayers. Hey, girl. Girl, I did like about an hour before you called, girl. I was in there crying. I was crying on live. I'm talking about snot coming down. I'm just like, because I said it's one thing to have a dream, have a goal, and it's one thing to pursue it. But it's one thing to see it come to life. And I'm getting chills now. I did not expect, a little girl to take my book to school. Oh my God, like a little girl to take my book to school and write about it, and then they asking about it. And when I saw my name in that little girl's handwriting, girl, I lost it. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to go to school and talk about this book without crying. And so this is the front. In the front, this is actually my niece. This little girl is actually my niece. And the back of the book, this is actually a real from a real picture of the last time I saw her, her going back into the houses where our abusers is, because her abusers were my abusers. So I also said, okay, well, since y'all want to stop me from talking to her, I'm going to create a whole nother way to talk to her so that she knows it's me. So if she ever sees this book before we talk, she knows it's her auntie talking to her all over again. And then I wrote her a dedication page in here as well. And this was birthed the night that it was like 2 days after I got out of jail, fell out with my family. I just got fired. And when I got fired, I just started laughing because that's my defense mechanism. I just like, oh,
Yeah.
of course. And so I'm just sitting on the ground and I just wrote. And I've always been a writer. So what really helped me, so it's called What Does the Mirror Show Me? Brown Girl World, right? As a child, this is how I survived. They said I get why they say I'm crazy for that. I used to talk to myself. I used to talk. Hell, I used to really talk to myself about the world, like about like I used to have a vivid imagination,
Yeah.
and I used to write so much. I used to write until I fell asleep. I used to literally steal my mother's laptop in the middle of the night because writing was hard. I used to write so many pages to where my fingers would cramp up and they would swell up. And so when I discovered a laptop, I'm like, oh, this doesn't hurt my fingers. And I would just be gone on that laptop, writing scripts, writing plays, writing books. And
Mm.
so I would take my mother's laptop and I would write about the life I wish I had, though. You just couldn't tell. I would write, books, and I would create these characters that I wish were in my life.
Mm.
And so that is how I used to escape mentally. And I always had a vivid imagination. And my mother used to always say this, even up until my 20s. And last time I talked to her, they struggled to get me gifts for Christmas because I was always so advanced. Like I was writing books. I was writing books that include sex,
Wow.
cursing, everything as a child. And because I felt so lonely and I hated my reality and I just had a vivid imagination.
Yeah.
So in this book, she's in the mirror talking to herself, just like I used to. And I used to tell myself all of the things that I wish my family would tell me.
Mm.
And that is how I survived. I didn't think it started working until I got a lot older, but that is how I didn't really allow them to break me. I used to look, because at first I used to think I was pretty, and then I heard I'm ugly and I'm manly and I'm worthless so much that it really I used to believe it. So I used to look in the mirror and fight, because I'm like, I don't see ugliness, but I
Right.
guess I am ugly. And then one day I just got tired of it, and I said, you're pretty. No, you're pretty. And so that's what I'm trying to train other girls to do who don't have what I didn't have as
Mm.
well. And so that's why it's called What Does the Mirror Show Me? And I'm just telling little girls not to rely on this world to tell you who you are, because this world will try to break you down. And
That's right.
sometimes you won't have anyone to help build you up. So you have to build you up.
Oh,
So yeah, it's a lot. It's a mouthful.
girl, but it sounds like a good one. And not only, but it's personal. There's,
Very.
this is a very personal book. It's something that you lived through, something that you're watching your niece live through, is something that you're trying to rescue her from, but also a message that you want to get to her while she's living in this life that you previously lived. So
Hmm.
there's a very deep connection there, and that's what
Hmm.
makes it very personal because not
Hmm.
only is it you, not only is it your niece, there's so many girls, and specifically black and brown girls who are
Yes.
living this, who are living in this reality, this terrible reality of theirs that they just want to hear something. So I hope to get this message out to as many little girls as possible. Because if we remove race, we want people, young girls, black, white, Asian, or another, to read this book and know that you can come out of it. I would hope that there is somebody there. You have some Janiqua there waiting to help you out. Because there's so many of us who need it. And oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I feel like we're gonna be talking again soon some more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yes, we
serious.
can.
Because I hate these stories, but it's so important to tell them. We can't act like it doesn't exist. We can't
Yes.
act like, we can't be ashamed and embarrassed to talk about it. We don't
Yes.
have to. Um, and I think once we come to the realization that we don't have to be ashamed, if each one can teach one, we're healing. We're on our way. But we do have to come out of those prideful feelings and feeling that, oh, I'm going to act like I'm too good and none of this ever happened to me. Yes, it did.
Exactly.
Yes, it did. It happened.
I
It happened.
I made a post that I did not post. I like around this time last year I had 0 followers on Instagram. 0.
Mm.
And I made a post and I said, I built my platform. I'm slowly building my platform brick by brick through authenticity, oh, authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I almost won. Originality, vulnerability, and it's another word, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I said how I didn't pretend like my life was perfect. I didn't try to hop on no trends. I wasn't trying to impress other people. I just showed up as who I was consistently. So either you hate it, you love it, you like it, you don't, I'm
Exactly.
going to be me. And I'm not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
And so that's the only reason I would change something about myself. If I'm hurting someone else or I'm hurting me. And me telling my story, it's not hurting anyone. If it's hurting my abusers, abusers shouldn't stop abusing,
Right.
nigga. You know,
Exactly.
I was stop abusing, sir, ma'am. So,
And see, what we also have to remember um, is that this is something that they started, and now it's the problem that you talk about it. Like you said, you got to stop. So now, one last thing before I let you go. When you talk about forgiveness, what does that look like for you?
I said a joke last time somebody asked me this. I'm not gonna say it on here. Forgiveness is me not retaliating. Me telling my story, that's for my healing. Forgiveness is me, I'm not telling their names, I'm not showing their faces because I don't want anything to happen to them. If I find out, God forbid, something happened to my family, it's still going to hurt.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is, I mean, because I could have physically retaliated. I could have did things. No, forgiveness is, I still pray for them. I
Hmm.
really do. Now, I don't like when somebody tell me to pray for them,
Hmm.
because you can't, don't do that to victims.
Hmm.
You pray for them.
Right.
Don't tell victims to pray for their abusers. So. I still pray for them. I wish them the best. It's just that you will never have access to me. You had 25 to 26 years to treat me like a human being, let alone like your daughter or your sister. So you just get no access to me. You will not meet my children. You will not meet my husband. I will not even give you the opportunity to ever hurt me again. And you for sure will not be around my descendants. However, I wish you the best. And if I see them, I wouldn't fight them or anything, but I probably wouldn't speak either. So
Hmm.
forgiveness is, I don't hate them. I don't
Yeah.
hate them.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I hated them. I definitely have hated my mother and my father, but I don't hate them. I'm set free now. There's no reason to, because at the end of the day, everything that happened to me molded me into the beautiful young Black woman I am today.
For
And
sure.
if I could go back, I wouldn't even change it
Yeah.
because I use it to empower me. That's where I get my strength from. Now, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but that's how I see it.
And see, with that, what we also have to understand, let this be a takeaway. And I know a lot of people want to argue this, but the truth is, forgiveness and reconciliation are not one and the same. I
Hmm.
can absolutely forgive you on my terms because what you just said was something that I've never heard before. You said, your forgiveness looks like you not retaliating. I get it. That makes perfect sense to me. But you don't care to reconcile. And that's okay too. We have to understand that forgiveness and reconciliation are not one and the same. And like I've said before, there are steps to reconciliation. One, there's accountability, there's transparency, there's vulnerability, and then there's humiliation. And until you can the come to the understanding that this is what it's going to take to reconcile, I'm going to forgive you in my way and I'm going to keep my distance from you. Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And I know some people feel like, oh well yeah, but that's still, but that's still,
No,
but
it's
that's
not.
still
Forgiveness looks different for everybody.